it's an interesting thing to reflect upon, the choreography of the fall of Margaret Thatcher. She was always a high-rise, high-risk leader. She wasn't a Tory at all, in my view. She was a radical. But so long as she kept winning, although they didn't like her on the whole, they kept on supporting her. But as she went through the late 80s, her position was becoming more and more tenuous and exhausted. She was exhausted. The person who thought that he could defeat her was Michael Heseltine, who had himself served in Margaret Thatcher's cabinet, had held cabinet posts, and who thought the time had come, because of poll tax, that he could get rid of her. In fact, what happened is that then triggered a Tory leadership election, and I covered the night of Margaret Thatcher's she had gone, instead of going start again, just say it, sorry. Yeah, so what happens is that Margaret Thatcher, with poll tax, an enormous weakening of her power, was found herself being openly challenged, and in the newspapers and so on, and at last someone dared to stand up against her and run against her, and that person was Michael Heseltine, who had been a leading member of Mrs. Thatcher's cabinet. Thatcher flew to Paris. She'd been told by her aides that she would win the ballot. What happens is that she's at the British Embassy and the result comes through. She did win the first ballot, but only by a very small margin. She knew that the small margin meant that she was finished. I spoke to Bernard Ingham, her press secretary, who she trusted a great deal. I said, why didn't Margaret Thatcher behave as Margaret Thatcher normally would? And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, it seems to me that all her fight had gone out of her that night. And he said, yes, you're absolutely right, it had. And I said, exhaustion. He said, total exhaustion. We stood together in a little group and no one spoke and no one knew what they were going to do. They kept looking at Thatcher to see if she would give them, as she normally would, their command. She was Mummy. She would tell them what to do. On this night, Mummy was silent. Mummy stays in Paris overnight. Very big mistake. She's still leader. She still won the first ballot. But what she should have done, she should have gone straight. And the normal Mrs. Thatcher, she would normally have gone straight to the House of Commons. She would have gone to her room, and she'd have called them in one by one and said, "What's your problem? Here's a knighthood. Now get out," and so on and so forth. But she didn't do that. And Ken Clarke actually said to her, "I want to see you, Margaret." And Clarke said to her, "Margaret, the game is up. You've got to go." And she said, "Okay." And that was the end of her. I covered all of that period and all of those happenings very closely. I covered the general election of 1979, 1983, 1987, and through till the early 90s. We had 2 or 3 interviews really stick in my mind. One was the night of the bombing in Baghdad, and seeing the CNN reporter put a gas mask on. And we were frightened. We were absolutely frightened. Everyone, Scud missiles, that was the phrase everybody used. We did, I think, 2 or 3 interviews that I'm certainly very proud of, and I think anyone would be. And these were the interviews in the run-up to the end of Margaret Thatcher. One where Nigel Lawson, once her great friend, had completely fallen out with her. He was Chancellor, and he was pro-European, and he